Okay, we're on day 2 of using the Envy palette by Ace Beaute. So I'm going to start off today with using my Jaclyn Hill concealer. This is in light medium yellow. Jaclyn Hill has closed down, so you can't really get these anymore, but I just kind of wanted to show using a concealer that is very fast drying. So just so there's different types of concealers that I use in these next 3 days, but this is a concealer that I have used before. I'm not going to use a sponge now. I'm going to try and use my fingers because I know not everyone has sponges, and I really do want to try and keep this as easy as possible to use, and I just put this all over my eyelid because, again, I try to make my eyeshadows as bright as possible. So because this one dries so fast, I do kind of apply it as if I was applying actual like liquid eyeshadow on my eyes. And then with my finger, because I know not everyone always has sponges, you can definitely use your finger. I'm just going to use my finger to kind of blend this out as best as I can, which shouldn't be too hard because this one dries so fast. It dries incredibly fast. So I think something like that one would be really good to, what's it called, to do a cut crease? I don't know if I have tried. I don't think I'm very good at doing cut creases, but I'll show you kind of like my version today. So I'm just going to pat that on, make sure it goes wherever I want it to go. I usually do all the way up to the brow, and then once I clean up my eye look, I clean up underneath my brow. And it's pretty much all dry already. So this is a technique that you could do if you don't have a makeup sponge. And that should be good enough, honestly. Like, I just need that kind of white base-ish down so I can put the color down. So, today's colors. I was trying to figure out where to go with this. And I think I've decided. I'm pulling up my shades right here. Let's see if we can get this on. Okay, there we go. I'm going to use Guile, Illusion, Vibes, and I think I'm going to use Karma. I think that's where we're going with today. So what we have here is a light matte. We have a light shimmer and a medium shimmer and our dark matte shade right here. So of those shades that I've chosen to wear today, Guile is the lightest. So when I see a light matte, the first thing I think of is that I immediately want to apply it as kind of like, I describe it as a halo. I know it's not technically what we would call a halo eye, but I always describe it as a halo because I'm going to take all that matte and I'm going to apply it and brush it all the way over here on both eyes. So I'm going to dip into Guile with my fluffy brush. Fluffy brushes for me are always for matte shades, like I said, and the more flatter brushes are for shimmers. So for my shimmer today, I'm using an Alter Ego brush, and for my fluffy brush today, I'm using another Morphe brush. So I'm going to go into Guile, and I want to apply that like a kind of like a, I call it a rainbow. And this on this top, kind of right here. I'm going to apply my yellow because it's the lightest shade. This is pretty much what I always do when I have a light matte shade. This is just personal preference because I don't really know, honestly, to be honest. There's a lot of light shades that don't show up on my skin tone. So if I want to make sure I use an entire palette, this is something that I always do. And I don't know if my brush is just dirty or if this really is the shade. I don't think it's as much yellow now, especially now that I've applied it. It almost looks more of a very light, kind of dirty lime green, which should go well today with the shades that I've chosen. Just gonna go back in there. I'm just gonna keep just going back and forth along like the ridge of my eyeball. All the way from one end to the other end. And I did that with the matte shade in there. And this has already created my top. And then from there, I can now go into with my flat brush. And I'm looking at these shades, and I'm going to say that since this shade has yellow, I think this one's lighter and this one's darker. This is more of a medium tone. But the best way to also know that is to just swatch it. Oh, so pretty. Those are so pretty. Just swatch it on your hands to compare. Oh, I don't know. how do we want to do this? Maybe this teal should actually be, maybe that teal should actually be in what's in the inner corner, and this should fill the rest of the eye. Okay, let's try that. It's always to be played with. There's never anything for sure until you see it on your eye, but I think once we've swatched it, I think I'm going to do that blue in the inner corner, because once I apply that green with a gold shift, the outside matte shade is going to be a dark green. So I think that's going to be a better matchup. But I mean, we'll see. Let's see. So I'm going to start with Illusion, this teal shade, in my inner corner, and it's going to be very similar to what we did yesterday. The main difference being that we now have this kind of arc of shade already added. That was the first thing we did. So now I'm going to go and do my inner corner. Oh, I love teal. I love teal. I want to do, but I want to do this time less than I did yesterday. So yesterday it was almost, almost to half the eyelid. Today I do want to try to keep it to almost just the inner corner specifically. And depending on the formula, that's how I end up. This is a really nice teal. I feel like this one works a lot better than the Phantasm I used yesterday. Which, by the way, the Phantasm I used yesterday, and by Phantasm, I mean this really light blue shimmery shade that I wore yesterday. After an hour, it started to crease into my folds. So I'm not happy about that. And that kind of immediately puts me in a kind of warning mood of, do I need to move on? Not with this palette. I don't know if I should keep this palette, but we'll see with today's look, if today's look will last longer, because yesterday's look did not. So I'm just, this kind of shimmery eyeshadow is good enough where my form of how I'm applying it is just to lay it down and drag, and it goes on the eye, and you can see it. I can definitely see it on my camera right now. So that's so pretty. Okay, now I'm going to go to the other side of my brush that hasn't been used, and I'm going to go into Vibes. I'm going to go into this lime green with gold, and I'm going to, this one's a lot more crumblier. This is a lot more crumbly. And I'm going to fill out the rest of my eye. Okay, that's really pretty. I'm just going to fill in the rest of my eye, just like we did yesterday. Ooh. This green Vibes shade is very crumbly. Okay, I'm gonna I always like to start from the outer corner, that spot, and then bring it in to meet the other shade in the middle. Even though it is a crumbly shade, it does seem to have applied really easy. I only needed to dip that in one time. I'm just gonna drag it. Okay, now to blend in, wow, now to blend in these two shades. I think I'm gonna go back, how do we want to blend this? I'm gonna go back into that teal shade, that Illusion shade, and we'll apply a bit more, just to make sure that it's there and it doesn't get lost once we start to blend. So I want to make sure that's very present. I think that should be good. Okay, now I'm going to start doing the same thing. I feel like you can see, let me try and get closer in. You can see right here, I'm going to point over here. It kind of looks like a harsh line. So the goal is always to make that line, and then with your brush, just blend it. And I know that sounds, you're like, there should be way more technique. But it could be as simple as just starting from the top, dragging down, starting from the top, dragging down, starting from the top, dragging down. And just even doing that, and kind of going along the eye again. I don't see that line anymore. Do y'all see that line? I think it's a lot more blended. Over here, I see, from my perspective, I feel like I see the line so well, like it's right here, right? I can see that shift from one shade to the other. So I'm gonna do the same thing. You start from the top, and I just bring it down straight out over the line. And I think I'm using the side that has teal on it, the top. And I want to make sure that I'm not taking anything from the top over here and just bring it down. And now this seems like a very well blended look with my shimmers. I'm back with my nice fluffy brush. I'm gonna go back into that yellow shade, and I just want to go over this again just a little bit, even though I will clean it up at the end just because I feel like we've lost a little bit of color. But I'm gonna go over just the edges. Ultimately, you're probably not gonna see it, but I know it's gonna add to the final color change that we're about to do with this last shade. I think that's decent enough. And now I'm gonna go into this Karma shade, which is just like this beautiful bright foresty green. And these dark mattes are very intense, so kind of same technique I used yesterday. I kind of place in my outer first, and I feel like I have so much on my brush. I'm gonna go to the other side and also place. My goodness. Now I'm gonna go back over to where it originally was, and I think I'm gonna just tap it. I think I got too much. I'm just gonna blow on it because I want less on my brush, because now I'm gonna start taking my brush and just starting here and moving, starting it from here and moving along my brow bone, just to create that depth of color. Went back in, add a little bit more, and then bring it along the brow bone again. Dip it over here, add a little more, and then along that brow bone. Because I don't want to you don't want to cover up the shimmer shade that you just added right here, which is why we go above and more towards where we added that yellow. And if we feel like we've erased some, because I feel like I've just erased some of my line, I'm going to go back in with the brush I had. Let's see, this is the golden side with the golden side. And I'm just going to put some more on. If you feel like you lose some, let's add some more on. I'm going to go back over here. I'm just going to place some back in there. I felt like I lost some with the dark green. It's a very bright look. You can see here I have a bunch of fallout. I'm just a very messy, I'm a very messy person when it comes to my makeup. But we will clean that up. But I think this is the finished look for me. I always pick just my shades, and like I showed yesterday, even just using like 2 shimmer shades and just learning how to blend down that line, that's a look. Then you throw on some eyeliner, you throw on some mascara with your falsies, that's a look and you're done. It doesn't have to be super big and glamorous and all this stuff, but this is what I would do with these 4 shades today. Ooh. And so, similar looks to how I always do. I love doing that light to dark shade kind of gradient. And I've cleaned up and made the shape that I would want on this eye. If you're a much cleaner, better makeup person than I am, then you don't even have to do this step. But I just do this step because I move my brush however I feel fit. I move all the shades around, I build almost all the way up to my eyebrow, but I don't keep it near my eyebrow. I then take my makeup wipe and I clean everything up in a way that I see fit. I clean up any of that concealer that I originally placed down, and I just bring down the shade lower. I know some people worry about having like smooth, brushed out kind of edges. You can keep that if you'd like. Like I said, if you're a much cleaner eyeshadow person than I am, I'm not. And plus, I don't want my eyeshadow all the way up to my eyebrow. I just genuinely kind of just want it on my eyes. And then with a makeup wipe, you can control how big this green space is. But if you want it all the way up to your eyebrow, you can do that. But I do try to keep some space between my eye look and my eyebrow. Otherwise, I feel like I'm almost like, what's her name, like Mimi from the Drew Carey show. That's a really old reference. But I don't personally wear my makeup all the way up to my eyebrow. I don't think I can get away with it, just personally. But I've cleaned this up. And now this is when I would apply my eyeliner and my mascara. Alright, so I've brought you guys down a little bit closer, more to my level, just so you can maybe see a little closer. I've done my mascara and I've done my eyeliner. I mentioned these before. When I'm at home, I like to use this ColourPop liquid liner. That's because it's not waterproof, so when I'm in the shower, I mean, it looks like a mess, but it comes off so much easier than my trusty Maybelline Sky High Mascara, once again. And I just wanted to bring you guys down closer because I know as we get older, our eyes get kind of smaller. So I think, I don't know how much of this is actually gonna be able to appear. I think when I look just head on, you can see some of the green still above my eyeliner. I used to do my eyeliner so much more thicker, but because I don't do it as thick, and when I'm looking straight ahead, if I try to furrow my brows a little bit, it does cover up some of the eyeshadow, but I'm so emotive. Usually I think you can see, because it's not like you're always looking furrowed-eyed straight right ahead. I think once you do that, you can definitely see that. You only see my eyeliner for the most part, but when you're living your day-to-day, I don't think it's too much to worry about. Like, people will be able to see your eyeshadow once you're talking to someone because you're looking down, you're looking to the side. I know it's an issue for a lot of people, especially for older people, as our eyes are getting smaller. Like, I just turned 30 this past year, and I can definitely start to see the shift in my eye shape. Like, I used to tease my mom about it, but I can definitely see how my eyes are starting to age. But so far, the way that I've applied my eyeshadow still works. I personally don't feel, like I said, the need to bring my eyeshadow all the way up to my eyebrows. Maybe one day I will, but right now I don't. I think this is enough eyeshadow for the moment, and we've turned it into a really pretty St. Patrick's Day look. I think when I look at it from far away, I see this kind of light blue teal in my inner corner. I see the bright lime green. If I look really close, I can definitely see that shift. And then I have this beautiful bright green in the outer, and so it kind of looks like a trio of colors. The yellow that I originally added has disappeared for quite a bit, but I know that underneath that also helps out with the blending and all that. So this is day 2. I think we'll see how day 2 goes. Yesterday, day 1, like I said, that eyeshadow look didn't even last an hour. After an hour of wearing it, it started to crease, which was incredibly unfortunate because it was so sparkly. I could see the beautiful, beautiful sparkles all over my eyes. But I do have enough green palettes right now, and if I really wanted a blue, just bring out my Jeffree Star Blue Blood. So we'll see how this one wears, and we'll let you know that tomorrow.